my Stanwood friends. It's so good to be with you. I am actually in my jammies, but I put on lipstick, so I'm feeling this. This is legit. This counts. So, um, one of the questions that Anna submitted to me this week was, Kathy, how do we get along in unhealthy relationships? And that's a huge question, and there's so many different directions I can take you in my answer. But the simple answer is something called differentiation. Now, I could teach a whole weekend class on differentiation, and Anna's given me about 5 minutes. But in a nutshell, differentiation is the ability to maintain a strong, close connection with another special or important person, while at the same time maintaining your autonomous sense of self. So it means that I can be close to people who are different from me, close to people who have different opinions, different values, different feelings, and not abandon who I am. And so people with differentiation problems tend to fuse, so they will abandon aspects of themselves in order to please another person or out of fear of being rejected. And so the more differentiated a person is, the more solid of a sense of who you are, meaning, that my worth and value and identity is established in Christ and not the opinions of others. The more I respect myself while I'm respecting others, the less I have to worry about the tackiness that others will bring. So I don't have to worry if I'm differentiated about being around somebody who's highly manipulative, if I can trust myself not to say yes to things I'm not really okay with. So really, differentiation is the ability to take care of yourself in really tough situations. So differentiated people personalize far less. We just think differently. So if our husbands come home and they're cranky and they're slamming the cupboards and they're kicking the dogs, an undifferentiated person would think, what have I done to make him so upset? Or why is he treating me like this? A differentiated wife would be thinking, what is going on with him that he's acting that way? Because the more differentiated I am, the more I realize that what comes out of another person, their reactions, their emotions, their choices, even the meanings they ascribe to situations between us, has to do with their journey in life. And it's not about me. And so how another person thinks or treats me will never be a reflection of who I am. It really is a reflection of what they've been through. A differentiated person understands that the other person has the right to think however they want about a situation. They're just simply able to stand in the midst of the conversation and say something along the lines of, gosh, I think differently. They're able to hold on to themselves enough to maintain a curious stance to say, wow, why do you think that? Instead of feeling the need to defend themselves. And so a differentiated person has really good ego lines. And we tend to not take responsibility for, the feelings or reactions or choices of others. Now, that doesn't mean we don't care about them, but we realize that all we can be to another person is a resource. And a differentiated person understands that when you are being your authentic self and bringing your authentic self into relationship, it's impossible from time to time not to disappoint others. And yet, we understand that failing to meet the expectation of another person isn't necessarily an indication that we've done anything wrong. And so a healthy, differentiated person has the ability to manage, their own minor disappointments, and they have the ability to tolerate others' disappointments without losing a sense of my well-being and goodness and identity. And we have to realize that as adults, disappointments are a normal part of life. And it doesn't feel good when somebody doesn't meet an expectation. But that doesn't mean they're wrong. It just means I'm disappointed. And those feelings are as normal as feelings of sadness or feelings of anxiousness. It's just a normal part of life. And a differentiated person also doesn't spend a whole lot of time personalizing. And so if you understand that, your ability to tolerate imperfect others will go way up. Because after all, life would be so boring if all of our relationships were healthy. You've got to have some dysfunctional friends and family members, to kind of keep things interesting. But if you can take care of yourself, and instead of all this effort to try and get somebody to think a different way, if I just say it, a different way than maybe they'll understand, spending all this energy trying to get somebody to change a behavior that you've already confided in them how it affects you. Differentiated person just decides, what do I want to do when the behavior happens? Do I want a front row seat, or will I allow myself to be someplace else? And so that's just a really quick answer. And yet I understand this question is so much more complex. So I'll see you next week. Take care and hold on to yourselves. You're lovely just as you are. Okay, bye-bye.